Welcome back to Ding, the perfect playlist with Pete and Farah. Ding is a comedy songwriting podcast where each week we write an original song from scratch.
Ooh.
We're currently halfway through our second season, so go and check that out. But at the moment, we're doing something a bit different. What are we doing, Farah?
Well, Pete, at the moment, we're on a quest to create the perfect playlist. And by that, we mean a playlist which has a song for every scenario. We want a playlist where you could put it on and it has the perfect song for any moment that you might be experiencing. We've had 3 guests so far, and they've helped us pick some songs for the playlist for lots of different scenarios, ranging from when you fall over in public to when your cat walks in and sees you naked. Lots of, crucial moments in life. And yeah, we're going to be joined by another exciting guest today.
And the playlist does actually exist. It's had artists on it so far, from RuPaul to... Who else is on there so far?
Hall & Oates. We've got
Hall & Oates.
We've got Christina Aguilera.
You just need to search for Ding, the perfect playlist on Spotify, and it'll come.
There's a couple of sneaky songs by Ding on there as well. If that
What? Who put those there?
That's pretty crazy.
You can follow us on all social media. We are at Dingfloob, DINGFLOOB. We're also on YouTube. If you're listening to this podcast, you can go and see what it looks like as well. One thing you can also do, which lots of people have been doing, which is amazing, is playing along with today's episode. So we will present the scenarios. Our guest will tell us their song choice, but we'd also love to hear what song you would pick for those scenarios. So do write in.
Well, I think the time has come for me to introduce this week's guest. He's got his own podcast, All I Do Is Fail, and he's also one of the rising stars of the UK comedy circuit. Please welcome Ali Woods.
Wow, I thought you were introducing someone else there at the end. I thought I was the guest, but that's cool. But thank you very much. Very kind. I'm a pleasure to be here. Perfect playlist. On my Instagram story, I do a tune of the day and have been doing that for maybe a year and a half. And that's all on Spotify as well. So after you've listened to the perfect playlist, you can go and check out Ali Woods' TOTD, and that's tune of the day. People say, "Oh, do you do that track of the day thing?" I say track of the day, never heard of it, mate. Tune of the day. I quickly correct them. I don't have lots of friends. But the
between those two playlists, there really is no need for any other playlist on Spotify.
Jobs are good. And
yeah.
It seems like we do have a real expert then with us this week. You know, if you've been doing this for a year and a half.
You're introducing more guests.
No
Wait, who's there? Oh, this is me still. This is, yeah. Yeah, anyway, enough of that, guys. Let's get this actual music person on. So I once went on a date, and that's not the end of the story, but I once went on a date. She said, I'm not really into music. I was like, but how could you not like any music? And I was like, there must be someone you like. And he's like, I just, whatever people are listening to, I'll listen to that. And I'm like, there must be some. And eventually got her to ABBA. She's like, I like ABBA. And I was like, that's great. Ciao. Okay,
how can you not?
Yeah. But I feel like music is quite like sense of humor in that everyone thinks theirs is right. So everyone's taste in music, they'll just be like, well, look, I know I shouldn't, but I love it. Like, they'll just think, why not? But my dad's well into it, so he helped get me into it. I went to Glastonbury with him when I was like 11, I think. So, yeah,
wow,
pretty cool.
Right.
Well, whatever, mate. Just stop mentioning it. Weird. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
Is that date what triggered you to start making tune of the day then? Just to sort of like educate people around you? Like, well, start here then.
I was like, well, this won't do. I'll have to educate all of them. I think if you follow me for education, you will be sorely lacking in developing as a person. But just for more just general amusement and entertainment.
Nice.
I think that is definitely a disclaimer we've used on Ding before as well.
Yeah, it's great.
Do not follow us for education.
Anything real. Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for that. People just want to enjoy themselves, And also what I love about it is sometimes I'll post a song and then someone who's never messaged me back before will go, oh my God, I didn't realize you liked blah, blah. And then we can sometimes have a chat, or someone will recommend it. If you like this, then have you heard of this? And they'll be like, already heard of it, mate. So sorry, I'm pretty cool. But no, I won't.
That was actually 20th of April last year, if you go back in my stories.
How long are you following me? Are you not a real woodsman? Like, you know what I mean?
Is that what you call your fans?
Oh my God.
So I'd never used that before until
we
2016. But now I think I might just call everyone that.
Well, consider us your first two woodsmen.
Yeah.
100%.
We'll be woodsmen.
Thank you very much.
So tell us a bit more about your podcast as well.
This was the brainchild of two blokes in comedy, and we were like, you know what's missing in the podcast scene is straight white men and opinions.
Right.
It sounds groundbreaking.
So we started it, me and my a co-host, Tom Elwes, more colleague than friend. We were in the competition So You Think You're Funny, which you will know, Farah, is a comedy competition that you can only do once in your life. We were in that in 2017. We both got knocked out in the semi-final. And we never met. That was the first time we met. We got drunk and we were like, we got to do other stuff around comedy. You can't just go and do gigs. So we thought of coming up with a podcast. And the failing thing was actually Tom's idea. And so we eventually started. So we started way back in 2017, which put us slightly ahead of other people in podcasting. We've changed it slightly. We used to get on comedians to talk about times it's failed. We'd usually ask them for a personal fail and then a professional fail. And we had loads of conversations about really dark times, also very funny stories, and also lots of very funny gig stories. It was light entertainment and just sort of show that you can fail and be all right. And we liked getting on like quite, people that seem to be quite successful and then talking about how, they ruined their mum's birthday. Because it's just like, everyone's human. But now, since the lockdown, we've just started chatting about the week's news, and also as of the last two episodes, we've got this new feature called Fail Mail, where we get listeners to message in with failures of certain topics. So the first one was worst date. The one this week was worst job interviews. You listened to that one?
Yeah, I've listened.
There was some madness in there. There was some absolute madness. If you want to check us out, All I Do Is Fail. We're on all the platforms, even Acast, which we blagged our way onto. I don't know how we're on there. It's an absolute travesty. Don't tell it. If you meet anyone from Acast, don't tell them we're on there, because I'm pretty sure we're one admin sort of click away from never being on Acast again. But we're on there. All I Do Is Fail, and ADIF Pod on the socials. AIDIFPOD.
Super funny.
Sounds
really
great. Well, hopefully today you will not fail in your role in Music Corner. But
that's what I say to myself every day in the mirror, Pete. Hopefully today you will not fail.
We
Come
keep
on
the
today.
Fail in the podcast. Only
One
fail
day.
in the podcast.
should we see and get on to our first scenario?
Yeah, let's bloody do it, mate. Let's absolutely crack on.
Oh, which one to open
I
with?
feel like we should open with one that, like, you actually almost mentioned something like it already.
Yes.
with the going on a date with someone. A scenario we wanted to put to you was when you're on a date with someone and then they say something which is a deal breaker.
Okay.
What is the perfect song for that moment?
There's obviously various ways to go about this. I was tempted to go with something maybe more insulting, but I thought, no, I will do something which was just about leaving the situation, because
Very mature.
yeah, because if you fundamentally don't get on with someone for some profound reason, doesn't matter how hot they are, or doesn't matter how exciting it is being around them. You just got to leave the situation. So I've gone with Woodkid, Run Boy Run is what I've gone for this one.
Nice.
And also I like the line, "This world is not meant for you," which feels very dramatic for what a date is. But that's how seriously I take dates, guys.
You just stand up from your chair. This world is not for you.
This world is not meant for you. But it's more to myself.
This world is not for you.
Exactly.
No.
Find another planet. So that's what that's what, and that's what I say at the end of every day. Just say, find another planet and leave. So that's what I went for this one.
This is very dramatic.
I'm just imagining like you in a restaurant and just like all these drummers appearing out of nowhere.
This is the intensity of my life in my head. This is how I see everything. This is me brushing my teeth to that sort of music. And being like, God damn it, Ali, you're going to prove the Dow was wrong today.
I will not fail today.
So it's getting yourself out of that situation, and it's dramatic, which, my dating life is very, it's all ups and downs. No middles.
No middles.
Either fantastic or a disaster.
Often a disaster, but sometimes, no, generally a disaster to be fair.
That pause.
Yeah.
So would you leave like the moment they say it, or would you sort of finish up the day, like wrap up the meal or whatever you're doing, and then leave?
Well, I suppose it depends on the severity of what they've said.
Yeah. What would be a real deal breaker?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if they say something really sort of overtly racist. I had a date once with a girl who said she didn't like Korean people because they were rude. And she was Australian.
Because they're rude.
Because they're rude, exactly. I was like, it's a good point. She's like, she said because she was Australian, she had more of an understanding of what Korean people were like than me. She wasn't Korean. She was Australian, white person.
Okay.
And I was like, that's racist. You can't say that. And then she was like, oh my God, you're so sensitive. Are you gay? That was what she said. So that's the closest I've had to a sort of
just ticking off the hate crime card there.
Yeah.
How many people can you offend in like the space of 30 seconds?
Yeah. I'll probably say this has been fun. Thank you. Go. I was planning on going to a Korean place for the second date, so I think we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Farah, have you ever had a disastrous date?
Oh, of course. I remember one in particular that came to mind. There was this guy who I'd been messaging over Tinder. This was a few years ago. And I'd been messaging him. And I remember thinking, like, as he messaged me, there's something like slightly weird about the grammar that he uses, but like, who am I to start going all grammar weird on him? So I was like, it's fine. And then I met up with him and I realized he didn't actually speak any English at all. And he'd been using Google Translate for the entire of our conversation so far, which is why it came across like a little bit disjointed. And so like I tried really hard. He was French. So I was trying really hard to remember my like GCSE French, which I did not really remember. And he was trying really hard to sort of just smile and nod. And eventually I was like, I think I need to leave now. And then he sent me this message because obviously he couldn't say anything to that, right? He just sort of was like, oh. And then he sent me a message afterwards being like, I thought we really had something. And I was like, what? How?
When someone likes you for the things you don't say.
No, I was like,
I feel like we had such chemistry when you weren't talking, I wasn't talking, we couldn't do anything.
I mean, I must have really captivated him with what I managed to remember from my French GCSE, like, you know, pointing out directions to the library or something. I don't know.
He was like, yes, the chair is next to the table. You're quite right.
There are 3 rooms in my flat.
Gosh, she's so observant. God. Good on you for putting in the effort of actually staying when you realised you couldn't have a conversation with your date.
It didn't last for very long, Pete. There's a limit to what you can do with that.
I think that misunderstanding or not really tuning into the conversation leads us quite nicely onto another one of the scenarios, which is when you're in a conversation with a group of people and you realise you haven't really been listening for a while until someone asks you your opinion on something and you have no idea what they've been talking about.
This happens to me a lot because I'm not a very good listener. It's hard, you know, I've got so many voices in my own head to listen to, let alone the other things. I went for, in this one, something where, firstly, it's a question and he's saying not the answer, but just saying cool. And so it's Fat Lip. What's up, Fat Lip?
I don't know if I know this song.
I don't know this one either.
It's a really wonderful song. I love the genre, which is like self-deprecatory rap. And this is like a rapper talking about his mental health and just talking about being asked what's going on. And he just never says it. And it's like, who am I kidding? Who am I fooling? When you ask, what's up, Fat Lip? And I say, cool. And that's what I felt was like this, when it's like, you know, they're like, what do you think, Ali? And I go, yeah, it's cool. And I don't know what's going on.
Just agree.
And I like the plinky plonky of it. It feels a bit sort of almost comical, the background bit. So that's why I went for this, because there's a question and it came to mind. And, you know, it's plinky plonky. You listen to it, you'll be like, that's some damn plink and plonk in that song, brother. Who's playing the plinky plonk?
I've always wanted to learn the plinky plonk.
This sort of music is really cool, like self-deprecatory stuff. Like I think Suicidal Thoughts by Biggie and Nas, Drunk by Myself are 2 other examples that are really good. And like Kid Cudi is another great example of like, I think it's just really because rap's so like about just being bombastic and cool, and then to people to be talking about like times hasn't gone right. It's good. But anyway, in this situation, I think it's like the idea of like, what's up, Fat Lip? And he says, cool, but he's not telling them what's actually going on. It's like, do you have this, Farah, when you have jokes that don't land and you have a saying that you say, and if you pick up on it, you're like, when I say that, it means it's not going well. So when I have jokes that don't land, I often hear myself saying, it's crazy, isn't it? And that means it's definitely not crazy at all. It's very uncrazy what you're saying. Very boring. Do you ever get the tone wrongs when you're not listening? When, you start off chatting about like someone's day and you're like, oh, yeah. And then they're like, and then, I just feel like I don't really love them anymore. And you're like, oh, yeah. and then you're like, what did you say? What did she say? And then you're just being so jovial with them as they're very heartbreaking. I do that often. It's awful. I'm like, oh, man, that's crazy, It's like when you can answer with, yeah, then you're thinking, all right, I can work this out. Yeah. But when have you got any thoughts, Ali? And you're like, well, I mean,
general thoughts or just specific to this?
Thoughts, mate. Thoughts all the time. Always got thoughts. Next question.
Feeling downtrodden, fresh kid turned rotten. I can't believe how naive that I've gotten. Over the years, seems like
it is very plinky plonky, yeah.
You know what I mean? Killing it on the plinky plonk.
I like it. Is that the first rap we've had on the playlist as well? Like proper rap artist on the playlist.
It could be, yeah. I mean,
like we've had RuPaul doing a rap. That doesn't count.
Don't be jealous of my boogie. Not quite the same vibe as this. Well, this is actually relevant to all the comedy chat we've done. When you've been on stage and then you get off stage and you realise that your flies were undone.
Or the t-shirts on backwards.
Yeah.
So I didn't realise I was wearing trousers. What a faux pas. This one, I went a bit more Route 1 on this one and just thought, what would I say to myself and who is embodying that through a song? And it's very clear to me, and it is Cher, If I Could Turn Back Time.
Oh, that's
excellent.
Good.
It's such a dramatic phrase to say to yourself, if I could turn back time.
I like the idea that if you could turn back time, like if you had that power, it would be used purely to rectify wardrobe malfunctions. Like
first mistake I made. Just get that one sorted and then the rest of the jobs are good.
In the artwork for this song, it actually kind of looks like she is holding her fly together. Almost like she has realised it is undone and is trying to...
Oh my God, that is so appropriate.
She's sort of hiding, that's a definite... That's almost like, a fly broken, sort of just hiding.
Yeah, just do what you can.
Yeah, exactly. But she's a professional. She's like, the photo shoot is booked. Yeah. We're doing this. Cher knows what's up. She knows she's in touch with the plight of the common amateur comedian.
Has this happened to you? Have you ever actually experienced this?
I can't say I've had my fly undone on stage.
Not that you've known about.
But then maybe I've never...
You just never
no one's had the courage to say anything.
Yeah.
No one's had the courage.
They know it's such a big deal for me. I pride myself on my flies being up. That's what it's on my bio. It says flies up. That's the first thing it says.
I don't think it's ever actually happened to me, but I have now got into a habit. Whenever I go on stage, I do a fly check. Just before you go on, just check. It's at the top. On you go. Just in case. It's an easy thing to check, so why not?
Yeah.
Very
I think that's the slogan for the official government guidelines on I remember that campaign. I think it cost £2 million.
Hands, space, fly.
That's it. Yeah. And then a lot of people tried flying and they're like, that's not what we meant. What about you, Farah? Have you had any wardrobe malfunctions?
So the reason that me and Pete know each other, by the way, is that we used to do musical theatre together at university.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've definitely seen pictures from shows that we've been in where I've been like, wow, those leggings are really see-through. And I'm like, oh, you can see everything. That's good.
Because in the sort of dark, they look fine. But with that bright light on
them.
Yes.
Crazy that when I was doing a high kick dance move in a bright light, that you can just see all the way through. Wow.
That show was on for a week and no one said a thing.
I wore those leggings every night.
Well, when I'm doing a musical of Ali and the Woodsman, the tragedy,
into the alley woods.
Into the alley woods. That's a different video. But then we'll reconvene. We'll get the gang back together.
Oh, we'll be the woodsmen. It'll be amazing.
And it's all just the music of Cher.
The music of Cher, with no story about Cher at all.
I'm imagining that embracing some sort of ballet dancing. I don't know why. I'm just imagining a lot of ballet.
It definitely involved tights. So then flies wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
We'd be sorted.
No, but the see-throughness would be an issue. Yeah.
There are a lot more things you need to think about before you go on stage in tights. Something which in the amateur musical theatre world,
they don't
a lot of guys don't think about.
Oh, really?
Until it's far too late.
Well, some of them put a lot of thought into it. And then you're like, where did all the socks go? Why are all the socks missing?
Oh,
Stuff them in.
I was like, why are they missing? Is there something to do with
why are they covering why are they covering their ankles? It's not the Victorian era.
Exactly. Oh shame. Oh shame. Their father's in the audience. We saw both your ankles, boy. Oh, you just feel like she really wants to.
If she turned up to that photo shoot with a working fly, how her career might have been different. This next one we left quite open because we wanted to see what story from your past you would drag up for this one. That makes it sound much darker than it's actually going to be.
I've got therapy at 6, so I don't want to spill it all now.
But this scenario is the song that would play in your head when you win at something.
Immediately popped into my head. I think it's fairly basic. But I just think this song has encapsulated the moment for so many people when they win something. And that is We're the Champions Queen. That is the iconic winning song. That is the one you do.
Yeah.
You know, and the confetti comes down and you're there and your mum's like, you've gone full like X Factor final. Oh yeah. Confetti cannon. 100%.
That happens no matter what you've just won.
Yeah. My confetti budget for the year is in 6 figures. It's insane. But
what is your most memorable win then, Ali?
Probably Lucy's heart in year 4.
Oh.
No, I'm making that up. There's no Lucy. I didn't go to school with a Lucy.
Personally, I don't think you can beat the feeling of a good old-fashioned raffle win. You know, the moment that number's called.
Yeah. And if you can walk past the table where you see they've got about 40 tickets.
and you take that Head and Shoulders shampoo home with absolute pride.
Do you give a speech, Pete, when you're up there? Everyone has their own raffle number ticket, guys. And you remember that, yeah? Today was my day, but everyone will have your day when your number is called, okay? So be there with your ticket. Ready? Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you are blue 102 or you are pink 102. We are all winners, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have one memorable win, which was not really my win either. I went into a cinema once, and I don't know if
it was when Argentina won the World Cup. I just felt... I
that win.
I had a part to play in that, you know?
And I thought, you're welcome, guys.
I just thought it was a great win.
No, I don't know if this is a common thing, but at the cinema where I was growing up, there used to be lots of like arcade machines in the foyer, yeah? Like with like gambling machines and gaming machines and all this sort of stuff. And one day when I was, 10 or something, I walked up to one of these like gambling machines and I just pressed a random button on the screen and a load of pound coins fell out. I think it was something about £100 in pound coins fell out.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It was.
And when you're 10, that's like £1 million.
I know. Yeah. I was like, what? I was like stuffing my pockets with pound coins. And then like my trousers started falling down. I had to get my little brother in there, start loading him up with pound coins. Wow. It was a crazy day.
Normally it takes me like 5 minutes to find the chorus. I'm going to get really good at this by the time we've done this.
What's your special skill, Pete? Give me any song and I'll find the chorus.
I'll tell you the exact timestamp that the chorus
is at.
Yeah. 10-year-old Farah presses the button, cascade of pound coins.
This is exactly what was playing.
Slow motion, definitely. Has to be.
Celebrating like, yeah.
Running forward with your raffle ticket, just like showing it to people as you run past, just like,
high-fiving all the cinema.
No, you would be getting that Head and Shoulders shampoo and just spraying it all over yourself. Well, Ali, as a fellow podcast host, what is the perfect song when your friend tells you that they're starting a podcast?
So I've done the ones that actually make sense. So now we've gone to the niche one. So this is more of a feeling. I really like when if my mate was to tell me they're doing a podcast. It literally happened to be someone I work with, and then she started doing it this year, and it's great. It's called Work. Actually, you can listen to it. She finds people who do odd, interesting jobs and asks them about it.
That's cool.
And so you can check out Work Actually. But I was super excited for it. I really like when people express themselves creatively, especially because I've got friends from school who are like super bright guys and super creative people, and but they just they've welded into the drudgery of daily life, and careers. And they always say stuff like, "Oh, we should do this, or I should do that," or I'm just like, "You should just do it, man, do it like this," because I think it just makes your life brighter and gives you an outlet. Going off that, I went for like the idea of go do it and the Go team. That's why I went. And a really happy song which I like, Lady Flash by the Go team, which is all it just feels like you're like things are happening, and it's like a lot of yes, and it's just exciting. Yeah, it's just exciting, it's just like it's banging. I like it. I like the song, and it gives me a good mood. I don't know if you know the song, but there ain't really much chorus in it, so you can't show off your special skill, Pete. But that's
look for some yeahs instead.
Yeah, look for some yeahs.
It is a feel-good song.
I think this was a leading question. I'm going to call it out, right? I think this was a question. Oh, that's what we just want, another podcast. But, no one ever says that about like, another YouTube channel. Like people just have podcasts. True. It's cool. Or people like, I've started Twitter. It's like, you really think we need another Twitter profile? Like podcast is it's just a way to express yourself when people want to listen. That's cool, bro. That's cool.
Obviously, in the last year, there has been a massive podcast explosion because of 2020 and creative people needing something to do. Like you said, like loads of people who have always said they're going to do something, and then they've finally gone, actually,
Finally done it. Also, because if they're doing a podcast, they're going to chat to me less, which is great. They don't have to say their dumb ideas to me. You know what I mean?
Cool. Thank you so much, Ali, for your song choices. That was awesome. Definitely.
Great choices.
Definitely.
Genuinely my pleasure.
Yeah, really, really good choices to add to the playlist. How can people find you if they're looking for your podcast or for your own social media?
Oh, there's so many ways, Farah. You wouldn't believe. A lot of us are telling us there's too many, but they got me, Ali Woods Gigs, on any social media, ALIWOODSGIGS.
Whoa.
If you want to catch me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Ali Woods on YouTube, then you can. It's all there. And then All I Do Is Fail is on all good streaming platforms for podcasts. That's on YouTube as well. And then AIDIF Pod, AIDIF on the social medias if you want to check that out as well. Come down to Vauxhall Comedy Club. We've had Farah down a couple of times. It's opening back up for December. £7.50 is the ticket, and that gets you entry to the comedy show, plus a free drink, plus a substantial meal. So your quid's in. Your quid's in.
That sounds good. That sounds very good.
But yeah, and then the Tuesdays are the ones to come down for that, because that's what me and Tom run. So we'll be down there on those ones. So that is all. That is everything. Otherwise, have a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year and all that stuff. And look after yourselves and stay safe.
Thank you, Ali, and thank you to you, the listeners. If you are a keen woodsman out there, do go and check out all of Ali's comedy and his podcast. And if you're a dinger, you can go and check out our stuff at Dingfloob, DINGFLOOB.
Yeah, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. Tell all your friends about it. Give it a share. Share, get it? Give it a share.
Hey. If I could try.
On that note, should we go and write the Woodsman musical with the music of Cher?
West End 2021.